Hello, my name is Bethany and I'm a Schools and Colleges Engagement Officer from the University of Plymouth. Today I'll be talking to you about why study in the Southwest. So the aims of this session are to firstly introduce the Southwest as a region. Then I'll talk about the benefits of studying away from home in general. I'll talk about what you might want to consider when deciding where to study. And I'll finish by giving you some tips for studying away from home. So my job involves visiting schools and colleges all over the UK, and I often get asked, where is Plymouth or where is Devon? So Plymouth is the biggest city in Devon, and Devon is one of the counties of the Southwest, along with Cornwall, Somerset, Bristol, Gloucestershire, Wiltshire, and Dorset. To give you an idea of distance, it takes around 4 to 5 hours to drive between Plymouth and London, or around 3 or 3.5 hours on the train between Plymouth and Paddington. There are more universities in the Southwest than you might think. So Plymouth alone has 2 different universities. We've got the University of Plymouth and we've got the University of St Mark and St John. We also have Plymouth College of Art, which offers some university degrees. As you can see, there are universities all the way from Falmouth down in Cornwall, right up to Gloucestershire. In terms of what brings people to the Southwest region, leisure and tourism are definitely a big part of it. So we have the longest coastline of any region in the UK. So Devon and Cornwall in particular are popular destinations for beach holidays and things like surfing and sailing. There's also a big farming industry, and we've got really large areas of countryside. We've actually got 2 national parks. We've got Dartmoor and Exmoor National Parks. And on the very edge of the Southwest region is a tiny slither of the New Forest as well. Some of you might have visited the Southwest for music festivals. So we've got Glastonbury, which is obviously one of the biggest music festivals, but we've also got Boardmasters, which is held down in Newquay. And the Southwest is also a region with a really long history. We're actually home to 4 World Heritage Sites, including Stonehenge in Wiltshire and the Roman city of Bath. You might have heard of some of our other major attractions, so things like the Eden Project down in Cornwall, which has huge biomes containing plants from all over the world. We've got Cheddar Gorge, and we've got Longleat Safari Park, which is featured a bit on TV. Tourism aside, though, what is it actually like to live in the Southwest? Well, it really depends on which area you're living in. So, for example, Bristol is one of the biggest cities in the UK, and it's really busy and bustling, but it would be quite different from a quieter part of the Southwest region, maybe a more rural town or village. So it purely does depend on where you're actually living. Even within Plymouth itself, people lead quite different lifestyles depending on their interests. So on the top left there is our campus here at the University of Plymouth. So it's a modern city centre based campus. And below that, and just across the road from campus, is the Drake Circus shopping mall, which is the main kind of shopping area of the city. So the city itself is full of shops, restaurants, bars, cinemas, culture and history. But if you're more of a nature person, or if you just want a bit of a break from the city, you can drive about 20 minutes outside the city and you'll be on Dartmoor National Park, pictured on the top right there, where you can go walking, climbing, or if you prefer beaches, below that is Bovey Sand, which again is just a kind of 20 to 30 minute drive out of Plymouth, and there's a lovely sandy beach. Even if you think the Southwest isn't right for you, there are still a lot of benefits to studying away from home. So you get to experience life in a brand new town or city, or maybe even a whole new country if you're looking at studying abroad. And myself and lots of people I know have settled permanently in the city they moved to for university because of things like job opportunities or friendships. And it means that you end up with a network in both your hometown and wherever you move to for university. Studying away from home is also a really good stepping stone to independence. So it forces you to tackle some of the challenges of full independence, like living away from your family and living with new people, managing your own money and schedule, and doing a certain amount of independent travel. But in many ways, you still have the security of structure. So you've got a timetable to stick to, you've got support from teachers and other university staff, and you can get involved with social events organised by the Students' Union. There's also regular chances to travel home if you want to during the university holidays. And similarly, through this kind of halfway step to proper adult life, you'll learn important skills that you might not be so motivated to gain if you're living at home. So things like cooking, cleaning, budgeting, even finding and renting accommodation, and learning to live with people your own age, which are all skills that you'll need once you graduate and start work. So it's great if you can get a head start on those whilst at university. If you were living at home whilst attending uni, you would have to travel back every day after lectures, and that might mean you miss out on some of the things happening on campus. So lots of clubs and societies will meet in the evenings, and by living on or near campus, you can stay for as long as you like without thinking about having to cut it short to head home. Living away from home also means you'll make friendships with the people you live with and not just the people on your course. Of course, one of the biggest arguments against studying away from home is the added expense of renting accommodation. But just to reassure you, when you live away from your family home, you'll actually get a higher maintenance loan from the student loans company to cover the added costs. So if you live away from home, you'll get up to £9,203 per year, whereas if you stay at home, you'll get a maximum of £7,747 per year. You'll find many examples of students who are very happy in their decision to study away from home, but here is just one example from a current University of Plymouth student. So Chantal moved from Reading to Plymouth to study law with criminology, and here she explains what attracted her to the Southwest, her feelings about studying away from home, and some of the positive experiences it's led to. So I'll just give you a moment to read what Chantal has to say. And the photo there shows Chantal at the Great Wall of China during her summer abroad, which she was able to do via the university. If you do decide to study away from home, you'll need to choose from over 160 universities in the UK. And of course, you could also look at studying abroad, which would open up even more options for you. And choosing where to study is a really individual decision, and it's going to be based on what matters to you personally. But here are just some suggestions for things you might want to consider. So you might have heard the terms campus and city university, and that simply means, is the university based on one main campus, or is it in a city, possibly spread out over multiple sites? So Plymouth has the best of both, really. We're one main campus, with the exception of our medical school, which is just about 15 minutes away from the main campus. But that campus is right in the city centre. So it's kind of both campus and city. But it's purely personal preference, whether you prefer one or the other or a combination of both. University is also a great chance to live somewhere that you've always been interested in. So, for example, I'm from Plymouth originally, but I'd always wanted to live in London. So I applied to London universities. And then you can think about, do you want to look at universities that are really far away from home, or just far enough that you'll have to move out, but close enough that you can still visit home regularly if you want to? So we normally do advise that you try and visit the university before you apply, so you can see the campus, the accommodation, and the facilities for yourself, and get a feel for the general atmosphere and friendliness of the university and the city. In cases where physical open days aren't happening, you can still look into whether the university is offering a virtual open day, or at least has virtual tours on their website. You should also be able to request a prospectus, which includes details of all the courses on offer, as well as really good quality photos of the campus and facilities. When you're looking at accommodation, think about the university halls for your first year, but also think about what's going to happen after first year. Look at the off-campus private rental options for your second and third years. A lot of people like to look at the league tables when comparing universities, and they definitely can be helpful, but make sure you look at the subject rankings as well as the overall rankings. So in some cases, the universities that aren't particularly highly ranked overall might have individual subjects that actually are very highly ranked, and vice versa. So do make sure you filter by subject area. And finally, one of the most valuable things when exploring your university options is actually hearing from the students who go there. So whatuni.com has reviews from current and former students, but you can also chat to current students at a lot of different universities via UniBuddy, which you can access via the UCAS hub or via the university's own website. Of course, bear in mind that one person's experience may not be the exact experience that you will have, but it is useful to gather different kind of opinions. The Students' Union is something else to look into. So most universities have a Students' Union, which organises clubs and societies, but also represents the student voice and campaigns for any change the students want to see at the university. Particularly if you're choosing a university a little bit away from home, look into the SU, because getting involved with what they can offer can really help when you're trying to adapt to life in a new place and kind of find an identity. You could continue an existing hobby, or you could start a brand new one. Or you can find like-minded people in societies based around things like culture and faith, academic subjects, or welfare and well-being. And that can help make the transition into studying away from home a little bit easier, because it helps you meet new people and find your identity in your new surroundings. So on the slide are just some examples of Plymouth's 150 plus clubs and societies. Generally, they are split into societies for kind of hobbies and interests, and then clubs for sports. But you can also start your own club or society if your interests aren't already catered for, as long as you find a few others who would want to join with you. In your first few weeks of university, there will be a freshers fair where you can meet representatives from all the SU's clubs and societies, find out a little bit more about them, and sign up to the ones you're interested in. So pictured there are some of our students at Plymouth's fair in 2019. There's a bit of a common misconception that all students do socially is drink or party, but that's not the case at all. Because there are so many different clubs and societies at most universities, there are social events to suit all tastes and interests. So this SU itself will organise events throughout the year. At Plymouth, for example, we have a yearly summer ball with live music, but we also regularly have food markets on campus, and things like live sports shown on the big screen in the Student Union. We have outdoor cinemas and lots of other events organised directly by the SU. But then individual clubs and societies will also organise their own events. So obviously with the clubs, you'll be meeting regularly to play the club sport, but you'll also have socials where you'll meet for maybe dinner or evenings out. And then societies will also hold regular events relating to their kind of subject area. So things like games nights, film nights, day trips, volunteer work, debates, discussions, lots of different things. So pictured on this slide, we've got our outdoor cinema, the food market on campus, the summer ball. Then there's the open table intercultural dinner, free scuba diving sessions, and the lacrosse club. So looking now at some tips for if you do decide to study away from home. The first one is travel. So unless you travel home very rarely, you will save money in the long run by buying a student rail card or coach card to get discounted tickets when you do visit home. I'd say that to help with homesickness when you first move to university, it can be useful to plan exactly how and when you're going to visit home during that first semester. So it may kind of alleviate a little bit of that initial homesickness if you have a plan for when you're next going to go home. And similarly, it might be a good idea before you leave for university to chat to your family about how you're going to stay in touch. So if you're keen to chat to them every day, that's great. But if not, you may just need to set some boundaries around how often you'll be available to chat. University can also be a bit of a transition for parents or guardians. So bear in mind that universities will treat students as adults. So whilst your parents or guardians might have been used to hearing directly from your school about your progress, your university will communicate with you and not them. Definitely get involved with the Students' Union. So there will be plenty of social events throughout the year, but especially in the first few weeks of your first year. And not all of them will involve drinking or partying, as I said. There's bound to be a club or society that interests you, so do sign up to a few and actually go to meetups regularly, because a lot of people will sign up but then never actually go. Regularly going to kind of clubs and society events can be a better way of making lasting friends rather than relying on socializing with people from your course, because the class groups and people you're placed with might change each semester or each year on the course, whereas people you meet through clubs and societies, you can see them regularly throughout your whole time at university. And then look at learning a few basic cooking skills before leaving for university. So by learning how to cook a few healthy meals before you arrive, you can stick to a reasonable food budget and eat well whilst at university. And then think about your kind of budgeting. So with your student loan, it may be the first time you've had access to so much money at once, but you will need to budget it to ensure it lasts until your next loan instalment. Although most universities advise you don't work more than 10 to 15 hours per week to allow enough time for your studies, you can get a part-time job. A lot of students do to kind of supplement their income. And generally, the University Career Service can help you find manageable part-time work to help boost your finances. And then a final but really important tip for studying away from home is to look after your overall well-being by using the wide range of support services available to you at university. So most universities will help you register with a local GP surgery or may even have their own healthcare centre. It's tempting not to bother and to just rely on seeing your usual doctor when you go home, but definitely sign up to a local one at university because you never know when you'll need urgent healthcare. The kind of support services available will depend on your university, but here are just some examples from Plymouth. So we offer a free counselling service to all students. That could include support with the transition from home to university if you're feeling particularly homesick, lonely or anxious. And then if you know or suspect you have a specific mental health condition, you can also get mental health support if you let the team know about that. We also have a disability services team to support students with physical disabilities, long-term health conditions, mental health conditions, learning differences and dyslexia. And then our pastoral and spiritual support team offer support and prayer or reflection spaces to students of any faith or no faith. Okay, so to summarise the key messages from this talk, in the Southwest, we have a really diverse range of communities, landscapes, and lifestyles, and we're home to some of the UK's major attractions, events, as well as stunning natural beauty. There are lots of benefits to studying away from home, including just experiencing life in a brand new place, getting fully involved with everything happening on campus, and easing yourself into independence and adult life. If you do decide to study away from home, some key things to consider when choosing a university are the location, the quality of the campus, the subject league tables, and what the Students' Union has to offer. And finally, when you're getting ready to move out for university, have a think about things like discounted travel, how you're going to keep in touch with family, getting involved with the Students' Union, learning some basic skills before you arrive, like cooking and budgeting, how you're going to budget your student loan, and then getting support for your physical and mental health. If you feel you're ready to explore your university options, you can find physical and virtual open days at opendays.com. And you can explore the University of Plymouth via Plymouth On Demand. You can simply Google Plymouth On Demand, or there is also a link there on the slide.